Hey, Pretty Girl Club. Welcome to episode 2 of Pretty Girl Friendship Dynamics. In this episode, I'm going to talk about the friends that they're fine when they're around girls. Like when you guys are all hanging out, everything's good. But then as soon as a guy comes in the room, suddenly things change. And this is a part of the reason why I do not believe in co ed friendships because even if the guy is not my direct friend, let's say he is a friend of one of my girlfriends, I've noticed that oftentimes men will just make women's energy change altogether. And it's like, if she really truly viewed him as just a friend, then she would not feel the need to suddenly act like she's threatened by my presence. She wouldn't feel the need to kind of martyr her friendship with me over this guy. So I really do feel like co ed friendships oftentimes they are pointless. Oftentimes the woman is not really getting anything out of it unless she is maybe looking for validation or her and the guy have something else going on behind the scenes that affects her friendship with me. So I'm going to start off talking about one of my friends. Well, actually, I'll call her a frenemy because she's not my friend. But okay, so I remember me and a group of girls, we went to this event. It was like this event at a bar. You know how they have mixers and stuff at bars? They have like the professional mixers and stuff. So at this particular bar, there were going to be a lot of different gyms there and like fitness groups and stuff. So you know those buff black guys that do like bodybuilding and stuff like that. It was primarily a mixer for black people, like for African American people. So one of my friends from college invited me to this. And so I was like, oh, cool. And so I remember I drove straight from work to this bar, like right after work. And we were going to be doing some workout stuff like outside of the bar because it was one of those outdoor areas where they did like yoga and stuff like that. And then you could get drinks with the people afterwards. So I literally drove straight from work and I changed into a fitness outfit like in the car. And I remember I went to this event and I saw one of my friends that I had always like gotten along with pretty well, or at least I had never had any problems with her. I never suspected that she could have been like jealous or anything like that. I did notice that she was always kind of standoffish to me because the very first time that I met this girl, by the way, she was a fellow MLS woman. So her phenotype was similar to mine. The only difference is that her mom is black and white and her dad is just black. So she is, I guess you could call it multi-generationally mixed. Basically, she identified as only being black. She identified just with blackness. And she also loves black men. She said that herself. She constantly would talk about, you know, how this guy is mine. Like she would look up guys on Instagram who were black. Like mutual friends of ours and stuff. And she would constantly talk about like how hot these guys were. But I never thought anything of it because that's not, you know, we obviously didn't have the same type whatsoever. So I never thought that she would feel any type of way towards me. But I noticed from the beginning when I first got invited to the girls' brunch, all of the other girls in the group were like very welcoming to me. And I noticed she was the only one that was not as welcoming. So at first I was thinking, you know, this is probably just pretty girl trauma because I think that she's pretty. The only difference between myself and her is that she's just a little bit bigger. I'm not going to call her fat because I actually don't consider her fat. She's one of those girls who she's like thick or whatever, but her stomach doesn't like hang over or anything like that. So she can still wear like crop tops or like a bra top with maybe some high-waisted pants. So the only difference is she was maybe like 40 pounds heavier than me. And then another difference was she happened to have short 4C hair but she keeps her hair short though. So that's why I was kind of thinking maybe she has pretty girl traumas because oftentimes if you are a pretty girl, you will do things like not wanting to lose weight because, you know, you don't want to be threatening towards others, or you will cut your hair off so that you can kind of fit in more with unambiguous people. So that is exactly how I viewed her from the beginning. So I was always very compassionate towards her. I gave her some time to kind of warm up to me because I understand that maybe she felt, you know, like people would be threatened by her and stuff like that. So I was still nice to her, even though she was standoffish to me. And I actually, before this event at the bar, I had gone with her to this other little bar place and we hung out and stuff. And I noticed that she wanted to mainly talk about my traumas. Like she wanted to talk about my past failed relationships and stuff. And I didn't really want to talk about that because I thought that was really random and weird. Like it's our first time hanging out. I mean, I guess that's part of getting to know someone, but she kept going back to it over and over. And so then I was thinking, okay, she's probably trying to trauma bond, which is a common thing that happens in the monocultural black community, where a lot of people will view you as stuck up if they don't have any traumas. Like if you don't have the same traumas as them, I've noticed with black people, in my experience, if I don't share their traumas, then they view me as a threat. They view me as someone that's not relatable to them. They view me as someone who is stuck up. So I was thinking maybe she's just trying to see what I've been through and stuff. And so I had no problem basically disclosing my personal business and telling her like the things I've been through. I know. But anyway, another thing that I had noticed when I first hung out with this girl was she would complain about how there are no guys to date. Like, there are no guys available and how, like, all the good guys are gone or whatever. And I was telling her, like, oh no, what about John? What about Tyrone? Like, I was naming all of the mutual black guys that we knew because the types of guys that we were around, if you are into black guys, if you're into unambiguous black guys, those would be the top types of black guys, I guess. So these were guys who were like doctors, guys who are engineers, guys who are lawyers, guys who have their own businesses, guys who own their own gyms and restaurants. And, so they're kind of the more professional black guys. So I was telling her, like, oh, yeah, all of these guys, like, I'm sure that any of those guys would want to date you. And I noticed that with any guy that I mentioned, she would always come up with an excuse as to why she can't date that guy. She'd be like, oh, well, he's like my brother. Oh, well, no, you know what? I don't really want to date him. So then I dropped it. Like I didn't talk about it anymore. But then I noticed she kept on bringing up how guys would DM her, like our mutual friends, like the black guys or whatever. Well, they weren't really my friends, honestly. But I knew of these guys because of the girls that I hung out with. She was talking about how, yeah, a lot of the guys will try to go in her DMs or they'll try to go into every girl's DMs once they become a part of the friend group. And so I don't know if she was saying that because she was trying to show that like guys are DMing her or if she was trying to say that to figure out if any guys were DMing me. But I was already dating, I was already exclusively dating at the time, so I wasn't interested in any of the guys anyway. And she knew this. So I didn't think anything of that night. I didn't think anything of it. I didn't feel like she was being mean or jealous or anything at all because, like I said, I understand pretty girl trauma and how if you've had a lot of women around you who felt threatened by you, it can make you a little bit more closed off. So I didn't think anything of it. But fast forward to this event at this bar. It was kind of this fitness event, so there would be a lot of black men there. There were other races of guys there as well, but this girl is particularly interested in unambiguous black men. She's one of those MLS women that loves unambiguous black men. If that's your preference, nothing wrong with that. But that's not why I came to the event, though. I came there because I wanted to work out and hang out with my friends. So I showed up to this event, and because I had come from work, my hair and makeup were still done. So when I go to work or when I used to have my job as an accountant, I would look pretty professional. So I'd have like the makeup on, I had like my little extensions on. I think at the time I was wearing kind of like this long, straight, bust down, honey blonde wig type of thing. It was something like that. So I remember I showed up at the event and I was just like, hey. And then literally the first thing this girl mentions was that I have on a full face of makeup. Mind you, we were not talking about makeup. I had just walked in. I was literally just saying hi to everyone. But because there were black men like standing in the circle, you know how you stand in a circle and kind of talk and stuff? So because there were some black men that I didn't know that were standing in the circle, I felt like she brought up that I was wearing makeup to try to bring me down a notch or to try to send a signal to these black men like that's not really how she looks. She's wearing makeup. And so, but I still gave it a pass because I was like, you know what? She's probably just talking and not even thinking about it. So no worries. And I was like, yeah, I just drove here from work. So yeah, I just had to change really quick. And now I'm here. So how are you guys doing? And I tried to kind of change the subject. And then a few minutes later, she brought up my makeup again. And she's like, I can't wear makeup when I'm working out. Like, how do you wear that much makeup and it doesn't sting your face? How do you wear makeup like that and then it doesn't break out your skin? How is your skin not oily from the makeup? So she kept on like bringing up the makeup thing like over and over. And I was just kind of like, I was starting to give a little bit of side eye, like, okay, this is really weird. Like, she has never asked me about makeup or talked about makeup, but it seems like she's only bringing it up around guys. So I gave her a pass that night. I still forgave her because I was like, you know what? Maybe she just was having an insecure moment. that happens to the best of us. It happens to all of us. I have my own insecure moments myself. So no worries. Like I still let that slide. So the next time that I happened to see her at this other hiking event, so once again, in my city, they had this hiking event. So there were going to be lots of guys there, black guys, white guys, whatever. And they tend to be the more buff guys or whatever. That's really what she's into. So once again, I was coming to the hiking thing so that I could go hiking and so that I could, hang out with my friends. And I do like to look feminine. So I do always wear makeup for the most part. Like if I'm going out of the house, I'm probably going to put on maybe some concealer. I might put on some chapstick or something, a little bit of eyeshadow. I don't know, just depending on how much time I have to get ready. So I remember that morning, I didn't have time to put on foundation. I only had time to put on just a tiny bit of eyeshadow on my eyelids because sometimes my eyes can look a little bit dark. You know how you can have dark circles around your eyes? So in order to cover up the darkness on my eyelids, I just put a very tiny amount of kind of like this beige eyeshadow on the lids of my eyes, and that was it. So I wasn't wearing any other makeup other than like chapstick. So I showed up to the hiking thing, and then she was like, "Oh, you're wearing eyeshadow." And I was like, oh, yeah, I am. Like, I always wear eyeshadow. So I was a little less patient that time because I was kind of like, why does she care that I'm wearing eyeshadow when we're going hiking? And then she caught herself and she was like, I like it. I like your eyeshadow. Like, your eyeshadow looks really good. Like, it looks really cute. And so I was just kind of like, oh, thanks. And once again, I was like, this is not a big deal. Maybe she has something about makeup, like a complex about makeup, because I had a complex about makeup myself. I've never really called out girls personally for wearing makeup because that's a little bit weird to me, but I was still like, maybe she has a complex about her own makeup. That's fine. So nothing else happened that day. And then as time went on and we kept going to all of these different fitness events and hanging out with these different like friend groups and stuff, I became known as like the girl who wears the cute outfits or the girl who's like kind of dressed up and stuff. And I've always been known as being kind of like the fashionista type of person. And I'm not saying it in a bragging way. I don't think I'm perfect. I don't think I'm like the prettiest person in the world or anything like that. I have my own things that I'm working on, hence why I was going to fitness events in the first place. It's because I wanted to get in shape and get more toned. But I noticed that everything that others would compliment me for, it turns out that this girl, she wanted to be known for the same things. So I always dress up. I used to be in like fashion. I used to do like modeling and styling and stuff like that. She didn't know that because I didn't tell her that because I didn't feel the need to discuss that. But I recently found out that she has always wanted to do fashion stuff or like styling stuff or be known for her fashion sense. And so I was like, oh, that's interesting. Like she kind of had the same interests as me. So that was when I started realizing that maybe us being friends would probably not be compatible because you guys know that I have a friendship type. So the type of friends that I like to have are I want to be around women who are fun, women who are more supportive, not like it's a competition, especially something very silly and very trivial such as fashion or whatever. But I remember that same girl who was interested in the same stuff as me, she also would ask me like what beauty treatments and spa treatments I was doing and stuff. So I was literally over here telling her, I was like, oh yeah, I got, I get laser lipo sometimes if I really want to look snatched for a certain event. This is how I do my skincare. So I was just telling her all of my stuff and not thinking anything of it because I was just being genuine. I never viewed it as let me try to hide stuff or like gatekeep stuff or anything like that. So I was telling her all this stuff. And then it turns out that one of her mutual friends went to the same school as me as well. And this girl did not want me to hang out with her and like these other girls. Basically, she didn't want me to kind of like be included in the friend group. And so that was giving another like red flag. So at that point, I was like, okay, she's probably is not really my friend type or doesn't want to hang out with me, which is totally fine. But then, even after distancing myself from her, I started working more on this YouTube channel. I ended up going full time on YouTube. My friends in real life don't know what my YouTube channel is, but they do know that I'm a full time content creator. And so she found out that I was like a full time content creator and that I was like, doing stuff with that. And then I noticed that she suddenly decided to try to do the exact same thing. And then I also noticed that she started to post similar pictures like on Instagram or similar, like she had a similar bio, similar captions. So it wasn't enough for me to be like, oh my God, this is direct copying, but it definitely was like giving a red flag to the point where I even showed someone else and said, do you think this is copying? And then that person literally said, yes, like she's directly copying you. And so, but still, I was like, okay, whatever, like I'm not really going to hang out with her, so it's not a big deal. But I was reflecting on this today and thinking about how some girls are okay or like they're fun to be around when it's just the two of you. But as soon as you get into a group setting or as soon as you get around men, those friends switch it up. Because with this girl, she seemed a little bit standoffish, but not too bad when I was around her at first. But then as soon as we were in a social setting, like around a bunch of other girls or around guys in particular, she seemed to want to call out certain things about me. And I also noticed a pattern where her and some other girls, they had a tendency to talk shit about other MLS women who dressed cute and looked cute because they were also talking shit about like my other friend who she kind of dresses up just like me. She also does different hairstyles and stuff. And they tried to talk shit like, oh, why is she always wearing those booty shorts? Why, that sort of thing. And so those were also red flags. But I have noticed this when it comes to pretty girl friendship dynamics. Sometimes girls, even if they are also pretty or even if they have things going for themselves, they might be threatened by your social status. So they're okay to be friends with you when you're in secret, like when it's just the two of you. They want to know your secrets. They want to know, like, how did you level up so high? Like, how did you do your thing? And then it was so funny because this same girl, so she knew that I had my own thing, like basically my own business where I'm working for myself, doing social media. Then she suddenly wanted to try to do a social media business. So I've noticed that some women, they will try to maybe start copying you. Maybe they'll copy your pictures, they'll copy your social media, and in some cases, they may even try to copy your career. Maybe they'll try to do the same exact makeup look as you. And it's so funny because the same girl who had talked about my makeup saying, I can't wear makeup, I can't wear that much makeup, my skin couldn't handle it or whatever. I noticed that the next time I saw her, she was wearing a very similar outfit to what I had worn the previous time because I wore one of those matching fitness sets. And she also was wearing like lipstick and everything the next time that I saw her. So the night that she was talking about my makeup, I wasn't even wearing like lipstick and stuff like that. I was just wearing, everyday makeup that you would wear to work, a little bit of eyeshadow, some bronzer. And so I noticed that this actually does happen a lot when it comes to pretty girl friendship dynamics where when you're alone, it's not a problem. But suddenly, if you are in a social setting, then your social power starts to shine. You know what I mean? Your social status starts to show. And that woman kind of remembers her own status. And I'm not trying to like throw shade against anybody in particular, because like I said, I'm not saying I'm better than anyone at all. But for some people, in their mind, yes, you might be better than them. Maybe they feel like you are more leveled up than them when it comes to your body. You're skinnier or you are better at doing makeup. You are more fluid in your identity, like you embrace your femininity more. Because I noticed with this particular friend, she seemed to be maybe more threatened by me embracing my femininity and me kind of like just being confident, I guess. Because I can't say that it was a phenotype thing because our phenotypes were pretty similar. The only difference is, like I said, just hair texture. Her facial features, I would say, are more, they're similar enough to me to where I can still relate to her. So the only things I can think of is maybe hair, makeup, and weight. And obviously my career choice to be a content creator. But this is something that happens very commonly. So oftentimes a woman's insecurities will not be triggered until you get into a social setting because they see that you have kind of like, for lack of better words, the alpha female status. I don't like using terms like alpha and beta, but that's the best way I can think of to describe it. So you have kind of like the queen or the princess status in terms of maybe beauty, or, maybe you are the girl who knows a lot when it comes to running your own business. You are the girl who is very classy. You're the one who's very good at socializing with men or something, or you're, maybe the guys like you. And it's so funny because with this girl, thinking that saying something around these black guys would somehow affect them. The guys didn't even care or notice. In fact, the guys were actually complimenting me or like asking, who's that? Like, who's your friend or whatever. So I don't know if maybe that was triggering. But I did not even come to that event so that I could like get attention from those black guys at the event. I literally was going so that I could exercise and make new friends. But I've noticed that one of the weaknesses I've had in the past is because I am such a girl's girl and want to make friends, and because I have had that desire to have girlfriends and have like a girl group and, like go out and have this little, I don't know, a group of baddies, because I have had that desire, I do feel like sometimes women who don't have that desire or women who don't care about that, they will still sometimes let their own inferiority complexes get the best of them, because race, that is not the only type of inferiority complex there is. Some women feel inferior about their weight, some women feel inferior about their makeup skills or about their femininity in general, so they get triggered when you are confident enough to change up your wigs or change up your extensions. You're confident enough to wear the different colored contacts and then not wear them, and then do your nails a certain way and then not do them the next day. Like, you are more confident when it comes to answering questions. Oh, hey, yesterday your hair was blonde, now your hair is black. You don't have a problem saying, oh, it was fake. Like, that's just my hairstyle for the week. You're confident enough to embrace that side of yourself. So I've noticed that some women who have the mindset of you can only embrace your natural beauty, but you cannot embrace beauty enhancements, for some women that can be a trigger. So I do think that with that particular friend, that could have been a trigger, because maybe she felt like if she had embraced beauty enhancements, because for example, laser liposuction, that is a beauty enhancement. That is not, it's kind of like cheating, I guess, because you go to the spa and then they like do this thing that is supposed to help you lose weight or whatever. I only did it a couple of times, but maybe she was not confident enough to get that done for herself. Or, some women are not confident enough to wear the red lipstick. They're not confident enough to go from having short 4C hair to the next day they have long braids all the way down to their butt, or they have, a long blonde bust down weave on. So I've noticed that it can make women triggered when they see that you have what I call fluid femininity. The best way I can describe it is you are able to express your femininity in many different ways. You can express it by your nail color, by your clothing, by your makeup, whether it's your natural beauty or unnatural beauty with enhancements. Maybe you're wearing a push-up bra that day. Maybe you're wearing a corset the next day. Maybe you are wearing sweats one day, but then you wear, I don't know, a curly weave after that. So I've noticed that some women, they actually get triggered by fluid femininity, meaning that you are versatile when it comes to your beauty. You don't limit yourself when it comes to your beauty expression. I used to be a person that was ashamed of using any beauty enhancements because of how I was raised. So I believed that I could only be naturally beautiful, but that made me feel triggered and jealous of women that were able to have natural beauty and have the enhanced beauty on top of that. So that would be like celebrity women. Think of like Beyonce or somebody like that. So someone who is already naturally pretty, but then they also use enhancements like makeup and nail polish and high heels and all of the other, the glitz and glamour. That was something that I used to be triggered by because I used to repress that part of my femininity. So I've noticed that your feminine era and your feminine vibes that you are like rocking in that season of your life, that can actually be triggering when it comes to your friendship dynamics, because I've noticed that a lot of guys, obviously, they're attracted to femininity. They're attracted to, a woman that looks beautiful. I don't think that guys have one particular type. That's another thing that I feel is false. It's not true that there's only one way to be beautiful. I think there are many different ways to be beautiful. And I think some women get jealous when they see a woman embracing herself being beautiful in 10 different ways. Because it's like, I can be beautiful with black hair. I can be beautiful with an afro, with braids, with long hair, with short hair, with lipstick on, with no lipstick on, with sweats on, with a dress on. So for some people, it can be overwhelming to be around a woman who embraces her femininity like that, and also a woman who is comfortable enough with getting that much attention. Because one thing about me is that I'm also like, I have a very dorky, very nerdy side to myself. So I like doing cosplay and stuff like that. So cosplay is when you dress up in a costume as like a cartoon character, or for me, I like to just cosplay for any random events. So for example, let's say it's the 4th of July. I am going to wear an American flag dress with like maybe a little Statue of Liberty hat or something. So I'm the type of person that's very festive like that. if it's Christmas, I'm probably going to come to a Christmas party with like a sweater on and maybe a Santa hat or something. I might even wear like a cute Mrs. Claus outfit. So I've always been that type of person where I'm very festive, and like I guess that's just my dorky side coming out because I just get excited about the event. And the fun part of going to these events is the fashion part. That's the part that makes me the most excited. It's the fact that I get to be festive. But I've noticed that some people, they get mad or they get triggered or jealous by the fact that you're comfortable wearing a Mrs. Claus outfit to the Christmas party. They feel jealous that you could wear a Mrs. Claus outfit and get away with it and look cute, and you're getting all this positive attention and you're getting all these compliments. Meanwhile, they're just wearing blue jeans and a white t-shirt, and deep down inside they wanted to wear the red dress and the lipstick, and they wanted to wear the cute Christmas sweater with the little reindeer ears, but they were too ashamed to wear that. They didn't want to have that attention on themselves. They are afraid of attention. I've noticed that some women they have the fear of being seen, but they still have the desire to be seen. And so then they get mad when they see a confident, pretty woman who she doesn't have the fear of being seen. So she can wear the red lipstick. And even if everybody says, oh my God, you're wearing red lipstick, like, why are you wearing that? She doesn't give a fuck that people call out that she's wearing makeup. She doesn't care that people call out that she's wearing a Mrs. Claus outfit or that she looks dorky and why are you overdressed? That's another thing that people used to try to say to me in the past. They would say like, why are you so dressed up? We're just hanging out. It's just all girls. And it's like, I'm not dressing up for men. Like, that's not the only time that I dress up. I like to dress up because I simply like fashion. I like to look cute. Like, why can't I dress up for myself? Why can't I dress up because it makes me feel beautiful? But I've noticed that for some women, their beauty and their perception of their own femininity is one-dimensional. So they're not allowed to wear red lipstick. They're only allowed to wear no makeup. They're not allowed to wear weaves. They're not allowed to wear wigs. They can't wear highlights. They're not allowed to do that. They're not allowed to stop wearing glasses and switch to contacts. They have to wear their glasses because that's the identity that they have placed on themselves. That's the box that they have placed themselves in. And so they get mad when they see a woman who is kind of like living out the potential of what she could have been. So I've noticed that a lot of older women will do this as well to younger women in the workplace or the pretty girl in the workplace. They love tormenting girls in the workplace. I'm probably going to do an episode about that soon. A lot of women love to torment the pretty girl in the workplace because that pretty girl reminds them of what they could have been. Your body being in shape, it reminds that girl of how she could look if she were to stop binge eating. You remind her of how cute she would look if she put on some clip-in extensions. You remind her of how cute she could have looked if she would have worn the red lipstick, if she would have worn the cute Halloween costume, if she would have worn the cute little Valentine's Day outfit with the little red hearts and stuff on it. So I've noticed that some women who have the fear of being seen, they get triggered when they see a woman who is kind of like gracefully walking in her confidence. They get triggered by the fact that you wearing makeup is causing more men to look at you versus her. You know, she didn't put in a lot of effort, or she's so obsessed with everything looking effortless to the point where that's her only identity. That's her only feminine identity that she can express. So if, lipstick does not look effortless. Red lipstick doesn't look effortless. It looks like you put in effort to put on the red lipstick so that you could draw attention to your lips. Some women are afraid of that. They're afraid of accentuating their feminine features. They're afraid of accentuating their lips. They're afraid of accentuating their eye shape or, wearing eyeliner, wearing different contacts, wearing different hair colors and stuff. They're afraid of accentuating the versatility of their beauty. They're afraid of wearing colors that complement their skin tone or colors that make them stand out, like bright colors. I've been around women who they don't even like to wear bright colors. They only wear like gray and black and white because they're so scared of their outfit looking ugly. They're scared of their outfit not matching or whatever, and then more people notice that it doesn't match because you're wearing a pink shirt and like black pants or something. So I've noticed that some women, they have a fear of messing up. They have a fear of being disliked. They have a fear of not being accepted, and so they try to blend in. But the bad thing about this is if you try to blend in when deep down inside you know that you actually want to stand out and be appreciated for your beauty, then you're going to become triggered and jealous and resentful of the women who embrace dark femininity, the women who embrace that side of themselves. Like, yes, I do look sexy, and yes, I am wearing booty shorts, and yes, I am showing my boobs today. The girls have come out to play. Now what? So I've noticed that the women who have repressed their own confidence and they've repressed their femininity, they have repressed their desire to socialize with men. Because another thing I've noticed about that particular friend is she would go on and on and on about how all of our mutual guy friends, well, her mutual guy friends, not mine, but all of the guys that we were around, she was saying how all of them are undateable and stuff. So if all of them are undateable and they're so dusty and you don't like them, you don't care about them, then why do you care about kind of trying to put me down in front of them? And then like you want to just talk to all the guys and kind of like ditch me. You know those girls that are they like to ditch you so that they can talk to their quote unquote guy friends. That's how a lot of the women have been that I've been around in the past, where it's like, okay, if he's so dusty and if they're such a bum and like you don't like them, they're so ugly, you don't care about them, then why are you ditching your actual friend so that you can go talk to this guy? Or why are you suddenly becoming my competition or my enemy because this guy is in the room? Like, who cares if this guy thinks that you look prettier without makeup or something? Like, I thought you didn't care about what he thought. I thought that he was dusty. I thought that you've decentered them. So why is it that when you're around all women, you want to talk this pro women, yeah, we're all sisters, but then suddenly when a man walks in the room, we're all enemies and it's a competition, and now you're mad because you feel like you're losing the competition because you didn't do your makeup today or you didn't, lose the weight you wanted to lose. So I've noticed that a lot of women are actually they're living in cognitive dissonance in themselves. They have cognitive dissonance because they tell themselves, I don't care what men think about me, but in reality they actually do care about what men think about them, and they care a lot to the point where they get mad if you get more male attention than them. So with my perspective, I like to embrace all sides of myself. So even though I decenter men, I can still enjoy a compliment or I can enjoy being beautiful or whatever because it's my body. I have the right to use my beauty however I want to. So if I enjoy the positive attention that I get for my fashion sense, for my outfits, for my 4th of July outfit or my little Valentine's Day outfit or my Mrs. Claus outfit, if I enjoy the positive attention that I get from those things, that is my right. It's my right to express myself however I see fit. And it's my right to express my beauty however I see fit. It is my right to pursue or enjoy or bask in any positive attention that I would like to engage in. So for some women, they like to be known for their fashion. For some women, they like positive attention when it comes to their hairstyles. Some women like to receive positive attention for their natural beauty when they have no makeup on. They like it when people compliment their skin. They like when people compliment, different parts of themselves. So I have the right to receive my positive compliments as well. I have the right to enjoy any compliments I receive, but I've noticed that some women, they don't want anybody else to get a compliment. They get mad if you get complimented and not them because they are compliment starved. That's a term that I just made up, is the best way I can describe it. They are starved for compliments. And the reason that they don't receive compliments is because they have never done anything that has been worthy of a compliment. That's the best way I can describe it. So for example, let's say you always get compliments for your fashion sense. So you walk into the Christmas party, you have your little Christmassy outfit on and people compliment you, but that girl, she did not put in effort to express her fashion sense. So nobody complimented her outfit that night. She still looks cute, but nobody complimented her outfit or went out of their way to mention her outfit. And so now she's mad that you received a compliment and she didn't. Well, part of the reason why she did not receive a compliment is because she did not take the risk of dressing up in that outfit. She didn't take the risk of risking looking bad. Same thing goes with makeup. She didn't take the risk of doing her makeup or practicing how to be good at makeup, practicing what lipstick colors look best on her because she was too scared to mess up. So she got triggered when a woman did practice her makeup. She went through all of those awkward, makeup phases. She went through the awkward bad makeup teenage phase so that she could become good at slaying her makeup. And now she is receiving compliments on her makeup and you're mad because you didn't receive any compliments on yours. And also for the people who say, oh, well, you shouldn't seek external validation, there is no such thing as not seeking external validation. Everyone is giving and receiving validation at any given point in time. When your child scores a basketball at the basketball game and you say, good job, Johnny, you scored on that point, that is a form of external validation. When your child gets straight A's and you say, good job, you got straight A's, that's external validation. When your mother says happy birthday to you and you say thanks mom, you just validated her for telling you happy birthday. So everybody is giving and receiving external validation whether you like it or not. So you can lie to yourself as much as you want and say that external validation doesn't matter, that it doesn't help your self-esteem in any way, that you should not gain self-esteem or gain confidence based on validation. You can lie to yourself and say that all you want, but then you're going to become the invisible basic Betty who is so, you think you're so high and mighty, like, I don't need validation. I don't need anyone to compliment me. But then you get mad at the person who does get all the compliments. And then you feel the need to call them out and say, well, you're only complimenting her because she's wearing lipstick. You're only complimenting her because she's skinny. You're only complimenting her because she has long hair and she's light skinned. You only like her because she's mixed. So it's like, if you didn't care about the validation, then why do you care when someone else gets it? Why do you care when I get the validation then, if you don't care about validation? But I have noticed that oftentimes when women are more male centered, then they see their pretty friends as like their competition. But one thing I've learned though is that no two girls have the exact same type. And that's because no two women are exactly the same. You don't have the same memories, you don't have the same traumas, you don't have the same exact emotional needs. Sometimes women will try to pretend like they have the same type, or they will suddenly try to talk to a guy that you talk to because it makes her feel more attractive than you to know that she got the same guy that was with you. Like, those girls that like to go for your leftovers. So the guy that you dumped or whatever, like your ex or a guy that you rejected, she now wants to go hound that guy. Or as soon as you like a guy, she suddenly likes him too, because it makes her feel more attractive than you to know that she was able to get attention from the same guy who got attention from you. She's trying to prove to herself that she is just as attractive as you, if not more attractive, because she got that man to kind of go with her. And I've noticed the same dynamic when it comes to female friendships and women trying to put down that other woman. You're trying to call out her fake beauty enhancements, like you're trying to call out her makeup, her wig, her weave. You're trying to call out all of these things because you're hoping that by bringing her down a notch, that it will bring you up a notch. You don't like the fact that she's receiving extra attention. You don't like the fact that her red lipstick is drawing attention to her lips and that, all the guys are looking at her lips now. So you have to call it out. Oh, your lipstick is smudged. Oh, your lipstick is messed up. Oh, why does your lipstick look patchy? Wow, that makes your lips look dry. And the reason people say things like this is because they feel like your presence is hindering their social climbing goals. And you know what? Everybody's feelings are valid. So, if somebody feels like I am outshining them or whatever, those people that say you're hanging out with the fat girl so you can outshine them. Or like, maybe that girl that was my friend, maybe she felt like the fat friend who was being outshined or something. I don't know. But a lot of people who have inferiority complexes about certain aspects of themselves, yes, they will feel triggered. And you know what? That's totally normal. That's totally valid. I have felt that way myself. So I'm not trying to make it like I've never had any insecurities or like I've never felt outshined. I have plenty of friends that they're way more in shape than me. Like I have friends that are literally, they're probably like 100 pounds. So they probably have like no fat on their body whatsoever. So I'm not trying to say that I've never felt any insecurities or that I've never felt like I'm not the best person at a particular skill. But the way to combat that is to either level up yourself or, yes, separate yourself from the person who triggers your jealousy. So, in my opinion, that friend, she should have just separated herself from me altogether and maybe decided, okay, she's not my friendship type. She's not my type as far as friendships go because she triggers too many of my insecurities. She triggers too many of my inferiority complexes. And so right now, I'm really working on my own level up. I'm really working on myself. And whenever she's around, I compare myself to her too much. And it takes my focus off of my own goals. So I'm not going to hang out with her anymore. I'm just going to spend this time working on me, and that's it. But I've noticed that sometimes the women who they don't do that, they choose to hang out with you. It's because some women have that mindset of keep your friends close and your enemies closer. So I didn't realize that the girl that I thought was like going to be a friend and everything would be fine, I didn't realize that she, on a subconscious level, she didn't quite view me as a friend. She kind of viewed me as, who is this bitch coming into the friend group and like getting this attention and stuff and like, thinking she's all that or whatever. And she never said any of that. I'm just kind of like filling in the blanks and almost projecting in a way. But I do feel like there's a reason why those things exist. There's a reason why you think those thoughts. It's because it's real and it does happen. And I'm not saying that it happens every single time. I know that everybody is not your enemy. But it is true that some women who they're trying to social climb, maybe they want to social climb further than you, or they want to social climb ahead of you or something. And so they feel like by you being the most in shape person, you are somehow, diminishing them because maybe they wanted to be like some sort of fitness instructor or a fitness influencer. And maybe they felt like by you existing that you are somehow dimming their light. And so I've noticed that some people who are not strategic when it comes to their own social climbing goals, they are unable to hang out with other women. They can't really level up with other women around them. So, for example, if I were in my friend's position, if I was in that girl's position and I felt like, I don't look my best or I feel like kind of down on myself, I wouldn't even be out socializing. I wouldn't be around men. I wouldn't be around anybody. I would be at home dieting or going to the gym or just kind of like hibernating until I get my own self-esteem together. And then when I go out to socialize, if I feel like that's my time to flex, then that's when I want to flex my body. So, and there's nothing wrong with that, by the way, because I do feel like there is a time to practice. There's a time to fix yourself up, and then there is a time to show off. So, for example, I'll use makeup. There's a time to practice your makeup. Maybe you practice your makeup at home. Maybe you practice when you go to the grocery store. Like before you go to the store, you're kind of practicing how it would look. And then there's a time to flex that makeup and to flex how you look. So, with my friend, she felt like that was maybe her time to flex her beauty or her looks or to kind of flex and have fun and socialize with the guys there. That was her time to flex, but she tried to flex when she was not ready for the flexing. She tried to be seen when she wasn't quite ready to be seen because she found herself still feeling threatened by other people who were being seen. And by the way, there's nothing wrong with wanting to feel seen. There's nothing wrong with wanting to feel validated. But the proper way to do it for me is to admit to myself what I want. Like, okay, I want to be known as the pretty girl who's very fashionable. I want to be known as the girl who is very like silly and goofy and also confident though and like fun to be around. I want to be known as the girl who's good at makeup and wears cute outfits. Okay, fine. So now I have established what I really want as opposed to pretending I don't need to wear makeup. I can't wear that kind of makeup. My skin doesn't even like makeup. Oh my God, makeup, makeup, makeup. I don't like makeup. Why do girls need makeup? So instead of trying to lie to myself and pretend that I don't like makeup, when in reality, I'm just scared of makeup. That's really what it is. You're just scared. You're scared of makeup. You're scared of your own beauty. You are afraid of being seen. You're afraid of your most leveled up self. And so when you see somebody else who is kind of further along in their own level up journey than you, or when you see someone who reminds you of what you could be, then it makes you feel triggered. And by the way, I am speaking from experience here. So I'm not speaking as someone who, oh my God, I just trigger everybody. No, I'm saying it like I've been in the position where I have felt triggered by other people because deep down inside, I wanted to be that person who wore the red lipstick. So the thing that I've learned is that for me, instead of constantly dealing with jealous emotions, become the person that you're jealous of. That's what I've learned for myself. If I simply become the person that I would have been jealous of, then that is going to diminish the feelings of jealousy. So for example, you have to ask yourself, what are your jealousy triggers? For me, my jealousy triggers are things like if I feel like my body looks bad, if I feel like I'm fat or I'm like chubby or I'm out of shape, I'm going to be more likely to be triggered when I see people who are very in shape. That's going to trigger me. So I know, okay, in order to avoid these jealousy triggers, I need to keep my body in check. In order to avoid my jealousy trigger of somebody else being financially stable, I need to make sure my finances are in check. I need to make sure my makeup is on point, that my hair is on point, that my skin is on point, that I don't have a whole bunch of acne and all that stuff on my face, because that is going to cause a trigger if I am reminded of what I am not. If I am reminded of what I can never be because I was too scared to pursue being that person. And I know that there are some things where it's like, it's impossible to be that. Like, yes, it's impossible to like go back in time. I know it's impossible to like be child free if you already have kids. But for the things that I can change about myself, I have to decide, is it worth it for me to discipline myself and never eat pizza again so that I can have my six pack? Is it worth it for me to try on a wig, even though I said I would never wear wigs, even though I used to talk shit about wigs. Is it worth it for me to do the wig as opposed to dyeing my hair every single month? Because I've always wanted to be able to change my hair every couple of months, like with the seasons and stuff, but I can't really do that. It's kind of impossible to dye my hair that much without it receiving damage. So, what compromise can I have that will allow me to meet my goals for myself and also remove the jealousy triggers? Because whatever you're jealous of, I've noticed that for me, if I'm jealous of something, usually it's because I want to be that. I want something, jealousy just reveals my desires. So if I'm jealous of rich people, it's because deep down inside, I want to be rich. Deep down inside, if I was rich, I would be buying nice things too. I would be going on vacation all the time. If I was rich, I would not be working this shitty 9 to 5 cubicle job. So that's the real reason that I'm jealous of rich people. It's not because, oh, all of them are just so evil and so horrible, because it's easy to say that they're evil when you are the poor person, but if the tables were turned and if you were born a multi-billionaire, you probably wouldn't say, okay, let me give away all my billions and just live in poverty. No, you would be living it up in that privilege. So the thing that I've learned is that instead of getting mad at other people for their privileges, I only have two options. I either change myself to attain the privilege, which is usually what I will do. So I will, for the most part, I'm willing to do whatever it takes to change myself to attain those privileges. As long as I'm not actively hurting myself or others, then yes, I'm willing to do what it takes. Because I don't care about other people's opinions. Like, for example, when I wore makeup, when I just drove from my job directly to that little fitness thing, and I was just living my best life, I didn't think to wash off my makeup or to wash off the eyeshadow that I was wearing or to take off my lashes that I had just gotten done recently. I wasn't thinking, oh, I probably look too dressed up because I'm wearing little diamond stud earrings and I'm wearing that with my little fitness outfit and that probably looks like I'm trying too hard. I didn't think that. You know why? Because I enjoy looking like my best self. The privilege of looking my best is stronger than the insecurities of people asking me about it. So I would rather enjoy the privilege of being skinny, even if I had to get a surgery like a liposuction or something. Like if I were a multi-billionaire and if I were super fat, hell yeah, I would get liposuction. And I would enjoy being skinny more than I would be sad about people asking that I had liposuction. I wouldn't give a fuck. I'd be like, well, fuck it. I'm still enjoying the thin privilege. I'm still enjoying being thin. So you calling out, you're only skinny because you got liposuction. You only look pretty because you have on makeup. You calling that out, that doesn't take away the privilege that I'm already receiving. In fact, you are calling it out because you have witnessed me receiving the pretty privilege. That's why you're calling out that I'm wearing makeup. It's because you saw your friend looking at me or whatever. You saw the heads turn when that girl walked in the room who's wearing makeup. So that's the only reason you're calling it out. So you calling out that her privilege is fake, that doesn't take away the privilege, because even if you say, oh, I'm too deep for that, I'm too spiritual for this, I don't need any of these worldly things, I don't need to wear makeup, that's fine, but that's just you. So just because you want to be invisible, that's fine, but guess what? That pedestal isn't going anywhere. Life ain't fair, baby. So people will always be giving and receiving certain privileges. It's up to you to decide which privilege you want. So if you choose to be ugly, the only thing that's going to happen is that somebody else will get that pretty privilege. They're not going to say, oh, okay, well, this girl who looks crusty, I'm going to be extra nice to her and give her the pretty privilege because she was so holy and she was so spiritual to where she's okay with looking crusty. So now I'm going to put her on a crusty pedestal. No, they're not going to do that. They're just going to give the pretty privilege to somebody else who has attained that for themselves. But one thing I've noticed is that when it comes to certain privileges and stuff and female friendships, a lot of women are not self-aware about what privileges are most important for them. That's why I'm very sensitive about that on this channel. I do not shame women for the things that they think are important. So if you think pretty privilege is most important to you, then you have every right to do whatever you can in your power to attain that privilege for yourself. So you get to decide, what is my beauty standard for myself? What type of girl do I think gets pretty privilege? And do I look like that naturally? If not, am I willing to purchase the features that I need, for example, lip fillers or I don't know, a facelift, let's say you're old or something, am I willing to pay money so that I can attain that privilege? And there is no wrong answer. Some women will say, no, I'm not willing to do that. I will just stay old and saggy and whatever. And they're fine with that. And they like that. They like being invisible. There are some women who do like being invisible. I went through that phase myself where you like just not being bothered and stuff. But then there are other women who say, no, that privilege is very important to me to the point where it's actually a depression trigger if I do not have that particular privilege. But one thing I've realized is that everybody has privileges that they desire most, and they also have depression triggers. So don't ever let anybody shame you because you get depressed if you are very fat and overweight, or you get depressed if you're poor and stuff. Like those are some of my depression triggers. If I'm fat and overweight, if I'm poor, if my skin is bad, if my finances are bad, if my life is just bad in general, yes, that is a depression trigger. It is normal to have certain things in life that you want and that you don't want. So nobody has a right to shame you because of your desires. That girl at that event, she didn't have the right to try to shame me because I enjoy wearing makeup. People shouldn't be able to shame you out of living your best life, whatever that means for you. So it's going to mean something different for everybody. So for that person, maybe makeup is not important to her, and that's fine. If you never want to wear red lipstick and you just want to look very effortless and just have glass skin or whatever, that's totally fine. But I enjoy having glass skin, and I also enjoy sometimes wearing lipstick or wearing fake lashes or whatever. And that is okay. It's okay to decide for yourself what privileges you want to stack. And so I've noticed that the women who get the most jealous, like the bitter Bettys at work and people like that, they never sat down with themselves and thought, hey, wait, what are the most important privileges for me? Like if nobody else knew about what I secretly want the most, what would I want to pursue? Like, would I want to be wealthy? So for me, for example, my most important privileges, I noticed I really want wealth privilege. That's very important to me. I do not want to be poor. I don't want to live a lifestyle of being a beggar or kind of like not being able to have control over where I live and the groceries that I buy and stuff. Groceries are also very important to me. I know that's a really random one, but it's a depression trigger for me. If I can't even eat the foods, like if I can't even afford food, that is a depression trigger for me. So I consider it a privilege to be able to shop wherever I want for groceries and to be able to eat whatever foods I want, to be able to afford to buy organic foods and stuff. That privilege is also important to me. Pretty privilege is important to me as well because I have seen the power that it can grant you in life. I've seen the power that it has had in my life. So I am one of those people who, when I become old, I am going to get a facelift if I need it. I am going to get liposuction if I ever get super fat or something, or I don't know, like if something bad happens, then I will still do my best to look my best. And even if other people think I'm ugly or they still think I'm average, that's not important. What's important is, what do I think of myself? Because no matter how pretty you are, by the way, there's always going to be somebody that thinks you're ugly. So it's like, okay, if people are going to talk shit about me either way, I might as well just look how I really want to look. Because people are going to talk shit whether I'm pale, whether I'm dark, whether I have an afro, whether I have blonde, straight hair. People will always say so-and-so other person is prettier than you. So it's really not about what others think is the prettiest. It's what do I think is the prettiest? Do I follow what others think is the prettiest? If so, then I understand. Like that's your personal business. But you are going to be chasing a lot of trends though. So, one day you might be getting a BBL. The next month you might be getting it removed because the beauty trends change so much. But for me personally, I've had to decide, okay, what is my beauty standard? If I could create my own beauty standard for myself, what would it be? If I could create my own most leveled up version of myself, what would that look like? What types of clothes would she wear? Would she wear makeup? Would she not wear makeup? Would she be more feminine? Would she do her nails? Would she not do her nails? But I've noticed that people get jealous and they get very triggered and very intimidated when they come across a person who is that courageous. It's really your courage that they are intimidated by. They're intimidated by the fact that you had the courage to wear the red lipstick. You had the courage to wear high heels to work. You had the courage to go after the promotion. You had the courage to start your own business. You had the courage to be child free. You had the courage to get the divorce. You had the courage to go after your personal career dreams. And so that's really the cornerstone of confidence. I've noticed that the cornerstone of confidence for me is having the courage to actually do it and not being afraid of like the failure, because failure is a part of success. So when you first learn how to do your makeup, you're not going to do it perfectly the first time. You're not going to look like Beyonce the first time. You're going to have to learn how to do it and how to do the primer and how to do all this, your eyebrows and all that. So that's okay. But I'm willing to go through the process because I know that if I ever achieve my end goal, or even if I simply get closer to my goal, even if I make progress on my fitness goals or whatever, so even if I don't have the perfect body, but I'm still better than I was yesterday, that still has a positive effect on my self-esteem. So that's what I've noticed, is that as long as I am constantly living a level up lifestyle, and as long as I'm always on my journey and never giving up on myself, then it really helps me to not feel very triggered when I see other women who just might be farther along in the journey. Because a lot of people like to say, oh, well, she just had it easy and she only got to where she is because she's pretty. She only got to where she is because she's light skinned. She only got to where she is because she's skinny. And it's like, you actually don't know that. You don't know what they are doing behind the scenes. You don't know the level of discipline that it takes to stay skinny. You don't know the level of discipline that it took for her to grow her hair all the way down to her butt. You don't know the level of discipline that it took for her to have $1 million business. All you're seeing is the end result. So instead of just like looking at everybody else's end results, I've learned to just pursue what I want and focus on myself getting my own results. And then, if other people get triggered, or if my friends, they start to get pissed off by that, then they're not really my friends. And another thing is, have you ever noticed that the same friends that talk shit about you are also the same friends that copy you? They're the same friends that are trying to do the same shit as you. They will talk shit about, why are you trying to stay out of the sun? You're trying to be a colorist. But then next time you see them, they'll be staying out of the sun. Or they'll be like, why did you get liposuction? Like, I've literally seen old women who hate on other old women who got liposuction. I've seen older women hate on women who got a facelift. Like, there was this one lady at my old job, she was like in her 60s or something, and she got a facelift. And the other coworkers were literally hating on her. They were just jealous because they couldn't afford to get facelifts themselves. And so they were mad that she looked really good once she got her facelift. So it's often the friends who are talking shit about you or trying to make these backhanded comments that are actually copying you behind the scenes, or deep down inside, they wish they had the courage to look like you. They wish they had the courage to be as confident as you. They wish they had the courage to wear the cute outfit, to express themselves with their fashion. They wish they had the courage to talk to new people and make new friends and stuff. And so because you represent a piece of themselves that they have not yet become, that is the part that makes them triggered. And that's why I made that video about Kelly and Beyonce. It was not supposed to be just me shading Kelly. It was me pointing out the fact that at the end of the day, there is a piece of herself that Kelly sees in Beyonce. Kelly feels like she has the potential to be like a Beyonce, or there's a certain part of herself that could measure up to Beyonce, but for whatever reason, she has not, which is why she called herself second best. So I don't want to be the Kelly of my own life. I want to be the Beyonce in my own life. So if other people see themselves as the Kelly to my Beyonce, that's actually not my problem. They can go level themselves up or do whatever they want, but simply trying to ignore me or trying to put me down or leave me out or exclude me, that's not going to have the effect that they think it will. And I'm not saying any of this as like a cocky thing because I'm still working on myself or whatever, but that is why I have courage. That is actually where my confidence and self-esteem comes from. It comes from knowing what my own flaws are, knowing what I have to work on, and then actively working on those things. So my friend that made the comment about my makeup, she doesn't know how many bad makeup days I've had before. My friends who used to make comments about my weight, like saying I was too skinny or saying I eat like a rabbit or saying that I only eat nuts and seeds. The friends that made those comments, they didn't know what I looked like when I was out of shape. They didn't know what I looked like when I was fat. They didn't know how many times I failed and binged on ice cream and stuff. They didn't know the discipline that it took for me to get to where I was. So they were just seeing the end result and pissed because they never even had the courage or the strength or the willpower to not give up on themselves. So oftentimes the women who give up on themselves are the ones who get mad when you didn't give up on yourself. So that's what I'm talking about when I say, it's the Kellys who gave up on their music career who get mad when they see that Beyonce didn't give up on hers. Those things are just supposed to be an example. But anyway, what do you ladies think? Have you ever had friends like be mean to you or try to call you out on something, but then they are behind the scenes copying the exact same thing? Have you ever had people try to copy your social media or do all of these subliminal things to copy you, but then they want to pretend like they didn't just copy you? What do you ladies think? Let me know in the comment section and I'll talk to you next time. Stay pretty, ladies.